Hey, it's Jacob. We're looking at number 58 on the math section of ACT A10. It's a circle question. We want to start off making sure you know your formula for a circle. So if you have a circle whose radius you know to be r and whose center you know to be hk, it's just the standard, right? It's the x and y values, okay? It's the point. Then the equation for that circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. That squared there is really, really important. A lot of students forget that that's r squared. So now for pattern matching, we notice that they've given us this circle in that standard form. So this here is h, this here is k, and then this here, again, really importantly, is r squared. So r squared is 10. That means that r, the radius, is radical 10, right? Square root of 10. So we know that this circle has a center of 7, 8, and has a radius of radical 10. We can take advantage of that. Now, we might want to draw that, and if we were to do that, it wouldn't be too bad. And we can figure this one out pretty easily. If we go 7 and let's do 8, hopefully that scale is decent. That's my center. What's radical 10? It's a little bit higher than 3, right? It's a little bit higher than radical 9, which is 3. So let's say it's like 3. Let's overestimate. Let's say it's 3.5. All right. So we'll go down 3.5. We're going to come down. Down 3.5 would be about 4.5. And again, that's an overestimate. Up 3.5 would be about 11.5. And left and right, we could estimate more or less. So there's our circle. It tells us then we've got a diameter, and of course the diameter is going to run through the center of that circle. We've got a diameter whose y-coordinate is 11. That could be maybe either here or here. And the diameter runs through the center, and it's going to come down and hit this point, or this diameter would come down and hit this point. And the question, of course, says, well, what is the y value, right? What is the y value of the other end point of that diameter? Well, at this point, we can use process of elimination and actually get to our answer really quickly without having to do much work. The y-coordinate is certainly not going to be 1, 3, or 4 because those are all below the bottom of the circle anyways. There's no way we're going to get to 1, 3, or 4. Right? There's just no way. So those are out of the picture. And it's certainly not 8 because that's the y-coordinate of the center of the circle. So our answer is 5. We move on. Now we also want to be able to make sure we actually can solve this regardless of that process of elimination. Though on the exam, if you figure that out, don't sit there and go, okay, now let me solve it. Just move on to the next question, right? It's about whether you can get the question correct, not whether you understand 5 million concepts. That said, I still want you to know how to figure this one out because it's not always going to be that easy. So what we can do is recognize, well, okay, we've got the center and we've got, say, this point here. We know at least its y value. We might want to find out its x value. And let's think about why that would be convenient. It would be really convenient to know the x value here because from the center to that end point of the diameter, we go plus some value to the right plus some value up. And if we want to figure out what this other point on the other side of that diameter is, we go left that same value and down that same value as we went right and up respectively. Because it's a line, right? There's a constant slope. The ratio between right and up, right, or left and down is a constant. It's rise over run. So if I can figure out this point, right, I know how far to the right and up I go from that point. That's how far from the left to the left and down I go from the center to find this other point. The same would be true for this this point and this point here. I'm just choosing these two arbitrarily. So we know that this point is some x value, comma 11, because the problem told us that y-coordinate was 11. So what's the x value? Well, I need a relationship between x and y. Easy. That's what the formula of the circle is for. Or the equation of the circle. So if I know y is 11, I can plug in 11 there. This becomes 3. Squared is going to make this whole term 9. Notice 9 plus this term is going to be equal to 10, so this term's got to be 1. So this could be either 6 or 8. So this is going to be either 6 or 8. So this one here is going to be 8, 11. Easy enough. So to get from this center, which was 7, 8, to 8, 11, I go plus 1, and I go plus 3, right? So x is plus 1, over 1, up 3. So to get from this point, the center, to this point, the other end, I'm going to go minus 1, right, left 1, and then down 3, right? Just the opposite of what I've done to get to this point. Left 1 from the center would be 6. Down 3 from the center would give me a y coordinate of 5. So we know for sure that that value is 5. We take advantage of that symmetry in that circle. We just plugged in that y value to the equation, spits out the x value. We know our algebra 1. We understand slopes. Easy, easy problem. I want to show you one other thing. On the calculator here, I've graphed something real straightforward. A couple of things here. I've gone to zoom and I've made sure to zoom square. Zoom square, the fifth one there, is something you want to take advantage of when you're dealing with circles because it really, really helps you to know that the x and the y's are the same distance. If you graph a circle on your calculator in the standard zoom, it'll look like an ellipse. So just make sure you go to zoom square whenever you're dealing with circles. It'll make your life a whole lot easier. So what I had there is from the home screen, I graphed two things, right? I don't know why I graphed the circle twice. I graphed circle, okay, 7, 8, and root 10. That's just a circle with center 7, 8, and radius radical 10. Again, make sure radical 10 there. Don't forget that r squared. Radius is radical 10. And then I graphed a line between 2 points. The way I get to circle, I go to second, draw, and then I go down to circle, right? It's number 9 there. And again, just 7, 8, root 10. Save a little time. I'm just going to go highlight and enter that in. Now don't hit graph like you would if you were graphing a formula. Hit enter. It's a function. So you hit enter, it'll graph it for you. It's cut off a little bit on the top, but in this case that's okay. I'm going to go back to that home menu so I can quit, and I'm going to graph that line. The way I get to a line is second, again, go to the draw menu. That second option there is line, so go ahead and hit 2. And for line, you give the first point and you give the second point, right? So I wanted the line from 7, 8 to 8, 11, so that's exactly what I did. I'll clear and just re-enter that again to save some time. Enter, right, not graph, because it's a function, not an equation, not y equals, okay? And here, I've got that radius. Again, it's a little bit cut off, but no big deal. Here, I really could just use my ID. You're going to have your ID on the day of the exam. I could figure out where that other edge is going to be. I could estimate that pretty easily to be about right there. And if I go left, right, I draw a straight line left, it's very clear to me, right, if I look at that point, it's very clear to me that that point is 5. Okay, so if you try to freehand it, it's a little bit tough when you're thinking about circles, especially if you're trying to choose between 4 or 5 and you don't draw a really good drawing and you haven't calculated the radius nicely to draw an accurate picture. Let the calculator do that work for you and it'll save you a lot of time. Hope you learned something. Hope that makes good sense. See you next time.